In this video, I'm going to briefly show you how to discuss documents and how to incorporate your outside information into your essay. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about how using your source analysis in your paragraphs can help you win that point as well. Okay. I'm not going to do all of the paragraphs, but I am going to kind of walk you through the process because we kind of already started doing it when we talked about this sheet here. All right. So I'm setting this aside. This is my planning guide. I'm putting it over here. I'm looking at it ahead of me, and I'm thinking about how I'm going to write my essay. I've already done my contextualization, and I have already done my thesis statement. So my thesis statement is, yes, there was a radical change. And now what I'm going to take a look at is, how do I write about the documents themselves? One of the first things I want to do is I might want to put them into two categories, okay? So that I can kind of organize myself a little bit more. Martin Luther, Calvin, and these ones in the German theologian, these are all writing about the religion and the changes from a very religious point of view, okay? So I might categorize these together because they just naturally seem to go together. Whereas the image of Jesus's feet being washed and the changes under Henry VIII and the ladies speaking out, those to me more seem to be criticisms of the church or things that are happening that the onlookers aren't necessarily liking so much. I could organize it according to social order versus religion. These are definitely religious versus these are social changes that people are living with. Okay, so that's the way I'm going to think about that. So how do we talk about the document itself? All right, I'm going to say, all right, when looking at some major religious changes that from Catholic hierarchy. Luther, Calvin, capitalized G, German. Okay, so I'm introducing them, but I haven't actually discussed the documents yet. In this paragraph, I'm saying I put them in a category together. When looking at some major religious changes that departed from the Catholic hierarchy, we see that Luther, Calvin, a German theologian, and a layman, Anne Askew, all wrote about their understanding of source religious texts. In document 1, Luther discusses the propriety of lay people performing kind acts. And acts for their fellow man. while not when he discusses okay. Therefore, this okay. In document 1, Luther discusses the propriety of lay people performing kind acts for their fellow man. That's my, that's just me discussing and describing the document itself. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to analyze the source. Remember, we have to do this for at least 3, maybe 4, explain how it is that the author's point of view or the audience or the historical situation is useful piece of evidence here. Okay, this document, okay, while not incredible radical departure per se, we can also see that this document, Luther is still thinking as a Catholic when he discusses God and his saints. Therefore, this may be the cause of his lack of radicalism early on. Okay, so I'm establishing Luther's line of reasoning, why it is that this may not be a very radical document, but it's still touching on how it is that this document is challenging this established social hierarchy. Okay, now I'm going to skip around a little bit and I'm going to use Anne Askew next to just kind of give you another way to think about this. Okay, in document 6, we see Anne Askew point of view of her. Okay, her account Let's see. In this document, we see Anna Skew's point of view in her religious interpretation of Christianity. Her account of her actions, preaching her beliefs in public, defends the idea that women have a role to play both in religion and in the social sphere. This has a huge break from social established religious and social norms. The Catholic faith had taught that women should not do this. All right. So as a female, so I'm going to go ahead and do a source analysis. It's a literate female. She feels this tradition should be until she martyrs herself for that belief. Okay. So I've done a lot of things with this document. I interpreted the document. I discussed some of the evidence on how it can support my thesis that there was radical changes to the hierarchy. And I also brought in some source analysis. How is it that her point of view and her actions are really useful pieces of evidence? Okay, not just a good or bad source, but why it's a useful piece of evidence. Okay, she martyred herself for that belief. All right. Now I want to do one more piece of evidence that kind of to bring in the outside evidence so you can see how that's done. Okay, so I know that in and document 7, which I'm going to say I probably discussed at another point in my essay, were both radical in that they brought question of women's role in society. In society into question. This will So Anne and document 7 were both radical in that they brought the question of women's role in society into question. This will be dealt with in multiple ways between the Protestant Reformation and modern times, but the real push by women won't begin as a political force until after the Industrial Revolution in the 1750s. Okay, so this is bringing in the evidence from beyond the documents. Okay, it's taking a look at something else that's not already here and showing that I was able to bring in information that wasn't already available to me in the documents to kind of show off to College Board. Thank you.